Most people over 60 are told the same thing about their bones. Just drink more milk and take a calcium pill. It sounds sensible. It sounds safe. But here is what almost nobody tells you. Calcium alone does not keep you standing on your own 2 feet. Here is what orthopedic clinics see every single day. A person over 60 has a small fall, and a bone that should have bent instead snaps. 1 in 2 women and 1 in 4 men over the age of 50 will break a bone because of thinning bones. Today I am going to show you 5 simple movements that tell your bones to stay strong, and I am going to share the one thing that most appointments never have the time to explain. The number 1 item on this list is something almost nobody talks about. Stay with me until the end, because that one can change how you approach the next 10 years. Think about your last appointment for a moment. You had about 12 minutes. Your doctor checked your blood pressure, maybe renewed a prescription, and sent you on your way. There was no time to explain how bone actually works. There was no time to teach you a single exercise. Prevention takes time, and the modern appointment simply does not have it. I want to be clear about something before we go further. I am not here to sell you a supplement or scare you into a course. This channel exists to give you the science a 12-minute appointment never has time to cover. That is the whole reason I make these videos. Because this is not really about a number on a bone scan. This is about whether you can rise from a chair, carry your groceries, and stay in your own home. A broken hip is often the quiet moment when independence slips away. So tell me in the comments where you are watching from and your age. I read them, and it helps me understand exactly who I am talking to tonight. Here is the one idea that changes everything. Your bones are not dry, dead scaffolding. They are living tissue, rebuilt every single day. Special cells break old bone down, and other cells build fresh bone back up. Think of your skeleton like an old stone bridge with a repair crew living inside it. Every day that crew removes worn stones and lays new ones in their place. When you were young, the crew laid down more than it ever removed. After 60, the balance tips and more bone is removed than replaced. But here is the beautiful part. The crew responds to traffic, and the more you load the bridge, the harder they work to reinforce it. Please do not skip this section. It is the key to everything that follows. If this is already making sense to you, tap the like button so more seniors can find it. That one tap genuinely helps this reach the people who need it most. Let us begin the countdown at number 5, and it is the heel drop. This is not a fancy machine or a gym routine. It is simply rising onto the balls of your feet and letting your heels drop to the floor. Here is why this tiny movement matters so much. When your heels strike the ground, that small impact sends a gentle shock wave up through your leg bones and into your hip. Your bone cells feel that force, and they read it as a signal to build. Remember the repair crew inside the bridge. The heel drop is like a delivery truck rumbling across, telling the crew that this structure is needed and must be reinforced. This is not a guess. High-intensity loading trials, including well-known bone research on impact exercise, have shown that brief, firm impacts can help maintain hip bone density in older adults. So here is exactly how to do it. Stand tall behind a kitchen counter and rest your fingertips on it for balance. Rise up onto the balls of both feet, as high as feels comfortable. Then let your heels drop firmly onto the floor so you feel a gentle jolt, not a painful one. Do this 10 to 15 times, once a day. The common mistake is dropping softly when the whole point is that small, controlled thud. If your balance is unsteady, hold the counter with your whole hand, not just your fingertips. If dropping both heels feels like too much, start by dropping one heel at a time. And if you feel sharp pain in your foot, ankle, or hip, stop right away. Sharp pain means stop, not push through. Pair your heel drops with a glass of water and your morning vitamin D if your doctor has you taking it. Vitamin D is what helps your gut actually absorb the calcium you eat. The loading gives the signal and the nutrients supply the bricks. But there is a problem heel drops cannot solve on their own. They wake up your hips and your spine, but they do almost nothing for your wrists. And your wrist is one of the very first bones to break when you throw out a hand to catch a fall. That is exactly what number 4 protects. Number 4 is the wall push-up. It is the simplest way to load the bones of your arms, your wrists, and your shoulders without ever getting down on the floor. When you press into a wall, your forearm and wrist bones carry your weight. That pressure is the same construction signal we talked about, just aimed at your upper body now. Think again of the bridge repair crew, but working on a different span. If no truck ever crosses the wrist section, the crew assumes it is not needed and lets it thin. Pressing into the wall sends the traffic that keeps that section strong. Clinical guidelines on bone health consistently recommend weight-bearing and resistance movements for the arms, not only the legs. The wrist is one of the 3 most common places older adults break a bone, so it deserves its own attention. Here is how to do it safely. Stand about an arm's length from a wall and place your palms flat on it, roughly shoulder width apart and shoulder height. Keep your body straight, like a plank from your head to your heels. Slowly bend your elbows and bring your chest toward the wall. Then press firmly back to the start and do this 10 to 12 times. The mistake to avoid is rushing, so move slowly and let the bones truly feel the load. To make it gentler, stand closer to the wall so you lean in less. To make it stronger over time, place your hands on a sturdy kitchen counter instead, which lets you lean more of your weight in. Keep your wrists comfortable, and if they ache, make a loose fist and press through your knuckles. Any sharp pain in the shoulder or wrist means stop for today. Pair this movement with the protein at your breakfast. Your bones are not just minerals. They are a living framework built on collagen, and collagen is protein. Aim for a palm-sized serving of eggs, yogurt, or another protein with your morning meal, so the crew has the material it needs. Now, wall push-ups protect your arms beautifully, but they cannot train the single most important everyday movement you make. That is the movement of rising up out of a chair, and it is number 3. Number 3 is the sit to stand. It is the exact motion you already do dozens of times a day, only now done with real purpose. Every time you stand up, your hip and thigh bones bear your entire body weight. That is a powerful, natural loading signal, and it is the strongest one most people never think about. When you do it slowly and on purpose, you turn an ordinary movement into a bone-building exercise. Picture the bridge crew again, feeling the heaviest truck of the whole day roll across. That heavy load tells them to reinforce the largest support columns, which are your hips and your spine. Rehabilitation research has long used the site to stand as both a test and a treatment for older adults. It strengthens bone and muscle together, which is exactly what protects you from a fall and a fracture at the same time. Here is the protocol. Sit toward the front of a sturdy chair with your feet flat and shoulder width apart. Lean forward slightly, then stand up all the way without using your hands, if you can. Lower yourself back down slowly, taking about 3 seconds to sit. Do 10 of these in a row. The common error is dropping down fast, and the slow lowering is where much of the benefit lives. If standing without hands is too hard, push up from the armrests and use them only as much as you truly need. Place a firm cushion on the seat to shorten how far you have to travel. Always keep the chair against a wall so it cannot slide out. And if your knees or hips give you sharp pain, stop and try again another day with a higher seat. Pair your sit to stands with a short walk right afterward, even to the mailbox and back. The walking keeps your hips loaded and your blood moving. Movement invites more movement, and your bones reward the habit. But here is a hard truth. You can build the strongest hip bones in the world, and it will not matter if you fall the wrong way. Strong bone reduces the damage, but staying on your feet prevents the impact entirely. That is why number 2 is about balance itself. Number 2 is the single leg stand. It is the most direct way to train your body to stop a fall before it ever begins. Balance is not something you simply have or do not have. It is a skill, wired through your muscles, your inner ear, and your nerves, and it fades only when you stop practicing it. Standing on one leg forces all 3 of those systems to work together and stay sharp. Think of it like a tightrope walker making constant tiny corrections. Every wobble you recover from is a rehearsal that teaches your body to catch itself in real life. Large clinical trials have consistently shown that balance training reduces the risk of falls in older adults. And since most fractures after 60 begin with a fall, this may be the most protective minute of your entire day. Here is how to practice it safely. Stand beside your kitchen counter and rest one hand on it. Lift one foot just a few inches off the floor and hold it there. Aim to hold for 10 seconds and slowly work up to 30 seconds on each leg. Do it on both sides because most people have one leg weaker than the other. The mistake is holding your breath, so keep breathing slowly the whole time. If 10 seconds feels shaky, keep 2 fingers on the counter the entire time. If you feel steady, try lowering to just 1 fingertip and eventually a light hover. Never close your eyes during this one because that removes a system you still need. And if you feel dizzy or lightheaded, sit down at once and rest. Pair this with the simple habit of standing on one leg, while you brush your teeth. You already stand at the sink twice a day with a solid counter right in front of you. That is 2 free minutes of balance training you never even have to schedule. So we have loaded your hips, loaded your arms, and trained your balance. But every single one of these movements shares a hidden weakness. None of them protects the one part of your skeleton most likely to crumble in silence, and that is what number 1 finally fixes. And now we arrive at number 1, the item almost nobody talks about. It is strengthening the muscles that run up and down your spine, the muscles we call your back extensors. Let me explain why this is the crown of the whole list. The bones of your spine, called vertebrae, are stacked like a tower of blocks. As bone thins with age, these blocks can slowly compress and crumble, often without a single moment of pain. This is how a person quietly loses height over the years. This is also how that forward, stooped posture slowly develops. Here is the part that changes everything. The muscles running along your spine act like the guy wires that hold up a tall tent pole. When those muscles are strong, they pull your spine upright and share the load, so the fragile blocks are not crushed by your own weight. When those muscles are weak, your spine bends forward, and all the pressure lands on the front edge of each vertebra. That front edge is precisely where these bones break. Strengthen the wires, and you protect the whole tower. This is not a small idea. Research from the Mayo Clinic followed older women who did a simple back strengthening exercise. Years later, they had far fewer spine fractures than the women who did not. The protective effect was still measurable a full decade after the program had ended. So here is exactly how to train these muscles, gently and safely. You can do this lying down or sitting in a chair, and I will give you both ways. For the floor version, lie face down on a mat with a small pillow under your stomach for comfort. Rest your arms at your sides and tuck your chin slightly so your neck stays long. Now gently lift your chest just an inch or 2 off the floor, using the muscles of your upper back. Hold that lift for a slow count of 2, then lower down with full control. Start with 5 lifts and build toward 10 over several weeks. Do this routine 3 to 4 times a week, and not every day, because these muscles need a day to recover. Breathe out gently as you lift, and breathe in as you lower. The single most important rule is to keep the movement small and smooth, never a hard jerk upward. If getting onto the floor is difficult, do the seated version instead. Sit up tall in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the ground. Place your hands lightly on your thighs, lift your chest, and gently squeeze your shoulder blades together, as if holding a pencil between them. Hold for 2 seconds, then relax, and repeat up to 10 times. Now here is the warning that matters most on this entire list. If you have thinning bones, never do forward crunches or sit-ups that curl your spine forward, because that very motion can crack a fragile vertebra. And as always, if you feel any sharp pain in your back, stop at once. Pair this with a daily posture check against a wall. Stand with your heels, your hips, and the back of your head all touching the wall, and simply hold it for a few slow breaths. This teaches your body what tall and safe actually feels like. Combine the strong back muscles with that upright habit, and you defend your spine from 2 directions at once. This is the one I promised you at the very beginning, the one almost nobody talks about. Everyone focuses on hips and calcium, while the silent crumbling of the spine gets ignored for years. But you now understand the muscles that hold that tower upright, and the exact way to strengthen them. That single piece of knowledge can change how straight and how tall you stand 10 years from now. Consider a typical case documented in the rehabilitation literature. A 74-year-old woman had begun to stoop, and she had already lost nearly 2 inches of height. She had stopped gardening because bending down frightened her, and she worried about becoming a burden to her children. Her bone scan showed the thinning that so many people her age quietly develop. She did not start with medication alone. She began a simple daily routine much like this one. She loaded her hips with heel drops and sit-to-stands. She practiced her balance at the sink, and she strengthened her back with gentle lifts several times a week. She added protein to her breakfast and took the vitamin D her doctor recommended. None of it required a gym or a single piece of equipment. Within a few months, she was steadier on her feet and standing noticeably taller. Her follow-up scan showed that her bone loss had stalled rather than marching on. And most important to her, she was back out in her garden. She had not grown younger. She had simply given her body the signals it had been waiting for. So let us make this simple and doable, starting tonight. Here is your checklist, and every step carries a number so you know exactly what to aim for. Step 1. Tonight, Do 10 heel drops while you wait for the kettle to boil. That single set takes about 20 seconds, and it is your very first deposit into your bone bank. Step 2. Also tonight, stand on one leg for 10 seconds on each side while you brush your teeth. 2 minutes at the sink quietly becomes free balance training every single day. Step 3. Tomorrow morning, do 10 sit-to-stands from a sturdy chair before you eat breakfast. Lower yourself slowly each time, because that slow part is where the bone building truly lives. Then pair the set with a palm-sized serving of protein to feed the framework. Step 4. This week, add 10 wall push-ups on 3 separate days. That protects your wrists and your arms, the very bones you land on when you fall. Step 5. 3 times this week, do 5 to 10 gentle back lifts to guard your spine. Build up slowly week by week and keep every single lift small and smooth. Never rush it and never curl your spine forward. Add it all up, and it is just 5 minutes a day with not $1 spent. Now think of someone in your life who has started to slow down or who has already had a fall. Someone whose independence you would do anything to protect. Send this video to them tonight, because 5 quiet minutes a day could truly change the years ahead for them. And tell me in the comments which of these 5 you are starting tonight. Your answers genuinely decide what I cover next. If this gave you something your last appointment did not have the time for, subscribe to this channel. It exists to give you the science that keeps you strong, steady, and independent. This video is education, not a diagnosis. Your own doctor knows your history, so bring this list to your next appointment. Take good care of those bones, and take good care of yourself. I'm Nathan Reeves. Don't forget to subscribe and live longer.